Have you ever had that sinking feeling when one of your star employees hands in their notice? It's a pain point for pretty much any organization. Today, we're going to talk about how to move beyond just saying goodbye and get to the real heart of why good people leave. We'll show you how data can be your secret weapon, not just for figuring out the why, but for actually building a workplace they won't want to leave. This is all about turning raw data into decisions that really matter. And just to show you what's possible, I want you to keep this number in your head, negative 18%. Now, that's not just some random statistic. That is the real-world drop in employee turnover that one company achieved using the exact framework we're about to break down. This isn't just theory. It's about making a tangible impact. So, where do we even begin? Well, we have to start by talking about the real cost of saying goodbye. When a key player leaves, it's so much more than a line on an HR budget. It creates this whole ripple effect. You lose institutional knowledge, recruitment fees start piling up, and it can be a real blow to team morale. To fix this, we first have to get our heads around the full scope of the problem. And right here, we see a really crucial distinction. On one hand, you have involuntary attrition. That's when the company makes the call, a layoff or a termination. But the real goldmine for us is voluntary attrition. That's when a talented employee makes the choice to walk away. And that's where the data shines a massive light on what we might be doing wrong, and more importantly, how we can get better. So how do we get to that why? Well, think of it like a health check for your whole organization. We're trying to move away from just treating the symptoms, like, oh no, our turnover rate is high, and start using analytics as our diagnostic tool to find the root cause of the problem. So what's behind this fancy-sounding term? Attrition analytics is really just about harnessing the data that's probably already at your fingertips. I'm talking about the goldmine of information hiding in your surveys, performance reviews, and exit interviews. The whole goal? To spot patterns, predict who might be a flight risk, and ultimately to take clear, decisive action to keep your best people right where they are. And look, this isn't some kind of dark art. It's a really clear three-step process. First, you gather quality data from places like structured exit interviews and sentiment analysis of what people are saying. Next, you use analytical models like survival analysis, which is just a cool way of predicting when someone might leave, to identify the big trends. And finally, you keep your finger on the pulse by monitoring everything with simple dashboards and clear KPIs. Now, as you start to do this, something amazing starts to happen. The data begins to tell you a story. You'll see these clear patterns emerge, and you'll naturally shift your focus from the how of the analytics to the what of retention, the real reasons people choose to stay or go. These are your key retention drivers. And what does the data consistently tell us? It usually boils down to three core things. Yeah, of course, fair and competitive pay is table stakes. But you know what's often even more powerful? A great company culture. One where managers are coaches and feedback actually goes both ways. And a real sense that there's a future, a clear, achievable career path right there in the organization. This chart just drives the point home perfectly. In this typical example, look at this. Compensation only accounts for about a fifth of the decision. A staggering 80% is influenced by culture and career development. I mean, this is the kind of game-changing insight that analytics gives you, pointing you directly to the areas where you can make the biggest impact. All right, so theory is one thing, but what does this look like in the real world? Let's dive into a quick case study of a tech firm that took these principles and really ran with them. This timeline really tells the story of their year-long transformation. It's just a masterclass in data-driven decision-making. In Q1, they focused on getting good data. Q2 was all about the analysis. And most importantly, Q3 and Q4 were all about action. They revamped career paths and trained up their managers to be culture champions. Every single move they made was a direct result of listening to their data. And the payoff for that disciplined, data-driven strategy? You guessed it, that 18% reduction in voluntary turnover we talked about right at the beginning. This wasn't a lucky guess. It was a precise diagnosis followed by the perfect prescription. So what's the bottom line here? When it comes to retaining your best people, intuition just isn't enough anymore. It's time to trade in the guesswork for actual data. The secret is to stop assuming you know the answers and start measuring what truly resonates with your team. And that leaves us with a final, crucial question. In every piece of employee feedback, every exit interview, and every performance review, your data is telling a story. It's a story of what's working and what's not. The data is speaking loud and clear. The only question left is, are you ready to listen?